What up? It's your boy T-Bear, Reaction Days Wrestling Wednesday. We're going to get through the Night of Champion post Wrestling Wednesday. Well, it's not today, Wrestling Wednesday. It's Thursday, but it's make up for Wrestling Wednesday. And this is one I was going to do first, a post Night of Champion Wrestling Wednesday, but we're doing it on Thursday. And this is now related to what we have now, the newest title in WWE. That is the new World Heavyweight Championship, which is currently held by, held by Seth Rollins now. But we're going to take a look back to the original big goal of WWE, and we take a look at first 10 greatest WWE World Heavyweight Championship reigns of all time of the big gold as well too, and then after we're going to check out the worst ones. So first up, let's check out the best. And so without further ado, let's see who had the 10 wrestlers who had the best reigns of the big gold as they called it. So without further ado, let's check it out.
The World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt, Eric Bischoff's gift to Triple H, the most prized accolade in all of sports entertainment sometimes.
Whoa.
Yeah, the spiritual successor to the WCW Championship had a bit of a spotty history during its 11-year life in WWE. When it wasn't around the waist of Triple H, there was about a 50-50 chance that it would be taken seriously as a legit world championship, routinely being subject to opening pay-per-views during the final years of its life. However, with the title sort of making its return to WWE this month, what better time is there to look back on what was the best that the big gold belt had to offer? We will have our corresponding worst reigns of all time list, which was honestly much easier to write, this poor belt, next week. But for now, I'm Tempest hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are the 10 greatest World Heavyweight Championship reigns of all time. But before we get on with our list, make sure, of course, that you like this video, subscribe, and enable notifications to always on so you never miss a fun list just like it. And make sure to check out the latest edition of Survival Series, where everyone here at PFK tries to name every World Heavyweight Champion. Number 10, Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to start this list by saying,
good pick right there. That was definitely a good little start of his resurrection era. Oh man, yes.
there are not a lot of lengthy World Heavyweight Championship reigns, and even less of them that are good. Hence why we get to highlight little 4-week gems like Shawn Michaels' lone world title reign post-retirement.
Yes.
HBK's run with the belt may have only lasted from Survivor Series to Armageddon in 2002, consisting entirely of 3 matches, but the matches were all good, and everyone was still basking in the glory of Shawn Michaels' return from retirement.
Yes.
Shawn's reign lasted just long enough for everyone to forget about his poop brown pants as he defended his title against Rob Van Dam in the main event of Raw 8 days later before dropping it back to Triple H in a fun 3 stages of hell match involving tables, ladders, and fire. Oh my. It may not have been the longest reign of Shawn's career or in the title's lineage, but what can I say? The big gold belt was with HBK for a good time, not a long time. Number 9, Edge's second reign. Another iconic World Heavyweight Champion with very few...
I'm saying hit because he was a heel at the time though, but...
lengthy reigns is indeed the rated R superstar, who despite having 7 separate shifts babysitting Big Gold, only ever surpassed 100 days as champion one time. This time, in fact. Edge's peak as a chicken heel was often marred by injury, and when it wasn't, he was the guy who would trade the belt with WWE's top guys, as was the style at the time. This reign, starting at Armageddon 2007 and lasting until WrestleMania 24, was probably the single best world title run of Edge's career, however. He was the star of SmackDown, having made The Undertaker's life hell throughout 2007, going to such measures to keep the title from the Dark Ruler Hadez, as career theft of Stu the Cameraman, and cloning himself twice to win the title at Armageddon.
Edge
now
has,
as the champion, he had a fun rivalry
Riders,
with Rey
aka
Mysterio,
Bryan
which was the emotional
McDonough.
crux of the La Familia storyline, before handing the title off to Mean Mark Spookles at WrestleMania, capping off an enormous 105-day reign. Must have felt like a decade for the lad. Number 8,
Kurt Angle.
Kurt
Angle had a good run with the big gold, and I think that he won that during his wrestling machine when he was like a face/tweener.
What the alternate timeline looks like, where Batista never gets hurt ahead of WrestleMania 22 and defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton. We'll never know for sure. But what we do know is that in that universe, Kurt Angle didn't have a banging main event match with The Undertaker at No Way Out 2006. Kurt stepped up to win the vacant World Heavyweight Championship in the wake of Batista's injury, and then proceeded to have a bad match with Mark Henry at the Royal Rumble. And even writing this, the words bad match and Kurt Angle burn my mouth as I say them in the same sentence.
You never know.
But thankfully, rather than running that match back, Kurt quickly pivoted to The Undertaker. It doesn't matter if it's 2000 or 2006, you put those two pros in the ring together, and you are going to get a damn good match. Kurt Angle was not a healthy boy in 2000.
Wrestle Machine Kurt was definitely one of the most underrated gimmick right there, especially when he was with ECW. I love the reason why I say that too, because that led to what a lot of people liked his infamous TNA run as well too as a cyborg.
2006, he will admit that himself, but goddamn was he having good matches. This was peak wrestling machine Kurt Angle, and a man who makes the lineage of the World Heavyweight Championship better just by being part of it. Number 7, Mark Henry. When asked what matches I would most like to go back and experience live, I often do resort to my cliched answers of Omega versus Okada in 2018, or Rock and Hogan in Toronto, or a number of others. But one that always sticks in the back of my mind is that of Mark Henry versus Randy Orton from Night of Champions 2011. No, the match itself isn't great, but the pop when Mark Henry, the man given character so horrendous that WWE had hoped that he would quit, but he stayed anyway because he loved wrestling, pinned Randy Orton to finally become World Heavyweight Champion, is electric. Mark Henry's Hall of Pain run was by far the best run of his career, finally capitalizing on his immense physical charisma to become one of the best monster heels the company had seen in a very long time. Again, his matches weren't great outside of a few decent outings with the likes of Big Show and Daniel Bryan, but this run just felt earned. It was the perfect time for Henry to be champion, and if injuries hadn't cut this title run short, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that it would have ranked even higher on this list. Number 6, CM Punk's second reign. CM Punk's first reign as World Heavyweight Champion peaked on the very first night. He got his big moment and then proceeded to never main event a pay-per-view, regularly be the top of the second hour segment of Raw, play fifth fiddle on the brand to Cena, Batista, Jericho, and HBK, and then lose the title in a match he wasn't even in. Not a reign that would make it on this list. His second reign, however, that's a different story. Many people weren't sure why WWE gave Punk Money in the Bank in 2009 after a lackluster
is when he was a heel.
2008, but when he cashed in on the uber-popular Jeff Hardy at Extreme Rules, he turned the briefcase and the world title into the best piece of character work he had done in WWE to that point. Punk argued that he had done nothing wrong, doing the exact same thing he had done to Edge the previous year that had all the fans cheering, but now they were booing him because he did it to Hardy.
Hardy was like a pure fan favorite babyface for sure, so of course you're gonna get booed for that.
Response from the crowd sparked the first WWE heel turn of CM Punk, and by Night of Champions, Punk was the straight edge savior and the biggest heel in the company. This rivalry with Jeff Hardy would go on to win the Wrestling Observer's Award for Rivalry of the Year, and I don't think it's unfair to say that this run saved CM Punk as a potential main event guy in WWE years before the pipe bomb would send him into the stratosphere. Number 5, Triple H's third reign. During the first 3 years of the Big Gold Belt's WWE resurrection, Triple H practically had a monopoly over it. If he wasn't holding it, he was challenging for it, and unfortunately, this is not regarded as a particularly good time for the title, Raw, or WWE in general. However, potentially lost in the shuffle of Hunter's Reign of Terror was this reign. His third of 5 reigns, and I would say his most palatable. Winning the title back from Goldberg at Armageddon 2003, this title win was the crown jewel in Evolution's collection, completing the set of Raw championships held by the group for the start of 2004. It was during this time that Trips had some solid matches, including his best match of 2003 on the final Raw of the year against Shawn Michaels, before continuing that rivalry into WrestleMania, dropping it to Chris Benoit in the best move possible at the best time possible. And no, Chris Benoit is not featured on this list. Sorry. Triple H is who many
because that's when both Eddie and Chris won the titles.
People most closely associated with the biggest and goldest of belts, and thankfully one of his 5 reigns was actually good enough to earn that distinction. Number 4, Chris Jericho's first reign. Continuing a bit of a theme on this list of short but incredibly effective reigns, Chris Jericho's career renaissance in 2008 was staggering, ultimately being rewarded with the world title at Unforgiven. He wasn't champion for too long, about a month and a half, before dropping it to Batista at Cyber Sunday in a title change that still has Adam screaming into his clothes. Go watch Survival Series now. But Jericho's title reign was his first since losing the undisputed title at WrestleMania 18 6 years earlier, and this time it was actually great. Jericho was the best heel WWE had seen in many a moon, and his rivalry with Shawn Michaels remains one of the best told stories the company has ever produced, and thankfully, they were able to culminate that rivalry with the best match of that rivalry over the world title in a ladder match at No Mercy. This was the Observer's Match of the Year in 2008, and remains one of the best ladder matches in WWE history. focusing on thoughtful storytelling and ramping excitement over a barrage of flashy moves. Jericho never had a long reign as World Heavyweight Champion, but his work with the belt was never anything but top-notch. Number 3, Daniel Bryan. It seemed
this was like half and half. I think first as a face and then as a heel.
Possible at one point in time that Daniel Bryan, little internet darling Daniel Bryan, hated by Michael Cole on commentary Daniel Bryan, fired on night 1 of the Nexus Daniel Bryan, would ever be a...
Thank you for somebody probably pointing out to me about talking about how he got fired on the first Nexus. Y'all, thank you for somebody finally pointing out like the backstory of why he came back, why he's away and came back. Thank you very much, Timbers, for that one.
World champion in WWE. However, that is exactly what happened when Bryan cashed in Money in the Bank on Big Show at TLC 2011. Could this have been the start of a great underdog babyface title reign? I suppose, but ask Rey Mysterio how well those work out in WWE. Instead, what we got was the beginning of Daniel Bryan as the best in the world on a worldwide stage. The beginning of the yes chant. Not done as a rallying cry for his legions of fans, but as a way to over-celebrate his victories, eventually turning himself heel through sheer annoyance. Bryan was always one of the best wrestlers.
Then he had the whole vegan thing and all that too. Yeah.
The world had to offer. But this was the first time he was able to really show his speaking ability, comedic chops, and main event wrestling capabilities on the WWE level. His title reign may have ended in perhaps the worst way possible narratively at WrestleMania 28.
I loved
but
it.
But ultimately, it was the best thing that ever happened to him, turning the yes chant into the rallying cry for his legions of fans that we all know it to be now. Number 2, The Undertaker's third reign. One of only but a few reigns on this list to actually crack 100 days, the MC of RIP took hold of the World Heavyweight title at Hell in a Cell 2009, defeating CM Punk, and held it all the way to February, losing it to Chris Jericho inside the Elimination Chamber due to a rogue Shawn Michaels.
Oh, yeah.
For many years, SmackDown was considered The Undertaker's yard. That was his show, but it was always more in a you have to go one-on-one with the Undertaker kind of way, making Undertaker seem like the omnipotent force.
That was like having the funniest cliche of all time with SmackDown with Teddy Long, other than the tag team player. This was a funny cliche
that policed the show from the heels that bothered Teddy Long rather than the actual top wrestler on the brand with the hardware to prove it. His first 2 reigns as champion were short-lived, both starting at WrestleMania, only to then last until just after Backlash the following month. This reign was different and saw Undertaker carry the brand as its champion for an extended period of time, defending it on pay-per-view against the likes of Jericho.
And that's when he had I don't know, was that one or the other reigns we had the picture with John Cena and Bobby Lashley holding the top titles because he had the title and Cena had the WWE Championship and Bobby had the ECW then ECW top championship.
Rey Mysterio, Batista, Big Show, and CM Punk. This was also the last stretch of time where The Undertaker was a regular fixture on TV every week, and he really made the most of it, reigning as a strong champion with a wide range of good title defenses against varied challengers. And number 1, Batista's first reign. The longest reigning World Heavyweight Champion of all time, and it was meant to be even longer. Even though I didn't watch it live, I have a very special place in my heart for Batista's rise to the top of the card. His rivalry with Triple H and Evolution was another of WWE's most successful stories, and to crown a new world champion at WrestleMania and have that champion become a new megastar is not a terribly common thing, let alone one that ends up having the best run anyone ever had with the belt. With title defense,
the only thing stopping was injury, man.
Such as his Hell in a Cell match against Triple H at Vengeance, my personal pick for
Jim Ross. Now what, Batista? And now what? You want to be the man, Batista? Oh, JR call had one of JR's almost underrated best calls right there.
Batista's best ever match, and other highlights like his mini feud with Eddie Guerrero in what would be Eddie's final ever pay-per-view match. Batista really made the World Heavyweight Championship feel like his own. Big Dave holding the big gold felt right this first time, in a way that it never really did again, with his later reigns often tainted by many injuries and way too many matches with the Great Khali. You'll hear about that next week. This first reign captured a great moment at WrestleMania to end a great build, and then followed up with the kind of work that WWE often so fails to put in with their new top stars. And that...
Yeah, and a lot of people talking about that if Randy Orton do retire, that they should have him, and since CM Punk retired, they should have him, and they should hit like the next Hall of Fame. I feel like because this chances that Brock might be done after his final match, the third match with Cody Rhodes, and Batista's pretty much retired. Batista was supposed to be put in the Hall of Fame, but they put him on hold. They should have all the 4 OVW guys highlighted, man. That would be awesome. That would be awesome to have all 4 of them inducted at the same time. That would be totally awesome. They do that, man. I really feel like they should do that. If they would have if his word is true about all 4 of them possibly done this year, this coming Hall of Fame, they should all get individually, of course, all be inducted. Especially since they're kind of highlighting them on this current WWE 2K23. Sometimes when they hide on 2K23, it's going to be it's like a curse of what's to come. Last time Rey Mysterio was the star. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. Way before that, Sting was a cover. Then he ended up making his return as well too. He's a pre-order character, and then Larry Norton he returned he came to WWE and all that as well too. The reign was short lived. Well, the run was short-lived, to say, but other than that, that would be awesome right there. They capitalize off them being the OVW characters on 2K23 and being inducted. That would be awesome right there. Other than that, good video. But this about to do the 12. Now we look at the downside of the World Heavyweight Championship. Hopefully Seth Rollins be one of the great championship reigns. Have a great championship reign with the new World Heavyweight Championship. But other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.